I think this is one of the most short-sighted takes ever. He didn't lose to Brock Purdy. He lost to the best defense in the NFL. That's who Dak Prescott lost to. He was moving the entire day. I think that the 2 interceptions he threw, the one that he was trying to get to Gallup on the edge was unforgivable. It was a terrible, terrible throw. The one in the red zone, I think he was trying to make a play to CeeDee Lamb. Again, it was a bad throw. But I just think that Dallas defense is really good, but the 49er defense is better. And I think, frankly, the offense is going to go as Dak goes. He needs to make better decisions. They need to have a better plan. And it just looks to me like Dak Prescott is preparing. I just don't know that he's preparing the right way because he had no idea what those coverages were going to look like. Now, also, DeMeco Ryans, I think, is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, and he should absolutely be getting looks as a head coach. But the new schemes that they ran out, the disguises they ran out, that was elite stuff. I don't know how you explain all of the interceptions. I think that's 17 or 18 interceptions for Dak now on the season, if you can include the regular season and the playoffs. He just isn't well enough prepared. He isn't well enough ready to compete against a defense at the level that the 49ers bring. Now, is that Mike McCarthy or is that Dak Prescott? I think it's Mike McCarthy. If I could get Sean Payton, I'd fire Mike McCarthy today. I think that's the right thing to do. You need somebody that can make or break Dak Prescott. And Mike McCarthy so far has not been that guy, right? I don't know that Mike McCarthy is that guy. Is he the reason that they won the Super Bowl in Green Bay? I don't know. Him and Aaron Rodgers at the end kind of fell off. Now, Aaron hasn't exactly been a spectacular QB, although he's won MVPs since McCarthy left. But is that because McCarthy left and now LaFleur's there and he's all of a sudden a better quarterback? Could be. Is Dak a guy that's got more development and a higher ceiling? I have no doubt about that. I think Dak Prescott can be an exponentially better quarterback than he is now. But Mike McCarthy doesn't feel like the guy to get him there, and that's why I'd be looking at Sean Payton.
Yeah, I think if you can get Sean Payton, there's no doubt. And that goes for any team, but especially the Cowboys, especially with their situation with Dak. Dak is someone who has, expectations placed on him, very high ones at that, obviously. And I think that, Sean Payton is someone who has a proven track record of taking quarterbacks, even when it wasn't Drew Brees, and making them better. I look at, Jameis Winston's time with Sean Payton, and while Jameis was never some special, amazing quarterback in the league, I think it's pretty obvious that when he played under Sean Payton, he got better. When Jameis Winston played under, Bruce Arians, I think, in Tampa, he wasn't good. He turned it over regularly, just like he always had. So to me, I think if you can go and get Sean Payton, you have to do that. I almost feel like as an owner and as a GM, you're obligated to do that. No disrespect to Mike McCarthy, but I think Sean Payton's just a more talented, more capable head coach. And frankly, I think because Sean Payton is more of an offensive guru than a defensive guru, it's a perfect fit for you. Your defense is fine, right? Your defense is not some big issue right now, but your offense is the problem, right? We've talked all about how, what are they doing with Zeke? Now Pollard's got this fractured leg. Like, you've got to figure out what you're going to do on offense to come back next season and be prolific. And I think if you could get Sean Payton, that would obviously be a huge step in the right direction.
Well, I have no doubt that in my mind whatsoever that what you're going to do is you're going to cut Ezekiel Elliott. His biggest money's still ahead of him. His dead cap number after this season is about $8 million. I'm taking that hit, and I'm happy to take that hit because I'm not going to pay him $15 and $16 million a year. I'm not doing that. And his number next year is almost $11 million. He's not that kind of running back. And I don't think he ever was, frankly. I would move on from Ezekiel Elliott because frankly, and you can say I'm being hot take guy, but I look at the list of the names that are going to be free agents, unrestricted free agents. Yeah. Dalton Schultz is more valuable to the Cowboys than Ezekiel Elliott is. I look at Tony Pollard. That's a terrible break timing-wise for him. And if you didn't see it, that injury to Tony Pollard is a broken lower leg. It was not a dislocation. It was not a sprain. It was a broken lower leg. So he's going to be out at least 3 months now, they say. I look at him, Leighton Vander Esch. I think I probably move on from Leighton Vander Esch. I do. I think I move on from him. I'm probably trying to bring Anthony Barr back. I'm probably trying to bring Jonathan Hankins back. The other guys, I mean, guys like T.Y. Hilton, Noah Brown, Dante Fowler, I think you got to let them go because this is the bed that you made for yourself, right? Dalton Schultz, again, is far more valuable to the Dallas Cowboys than Ezekiel Elliott is.
Facts.
And I think if Jerry Jones wants to make real changes, I think you have to make changes there. Oh, by the way, Brock Purdy did win another football game, and I thought Brock Purdy represented himself pretty well again. And what's really interesting is you're going to Philadelphia, and I think the 49ers are significantly better than the Philadelphia Eagles. I think when you look at how Jalen Hurts, look, I know he's not 100%, and we'll talk about Nick Sirianni at Football at 50, comparing him to Michael Jordan, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, which is, again, why I'm not a Nick Sirianni guy. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles are good. I think the 49ers are great. And when you look at the numbers on the NFC Championship game, the Niners are actually a 2.5-point dog going to Philadelphia. Which I'm really surprised about. Now, having said that, Brock Purdy's going to have to go on the road in a playoff game. He's going to have to win. And I think that's going to be very difficult for him to do. But I think that defense covers up a lot of his, shortcomings as a rookie.
Right.
I think that defense covers up a lot of those. I actually think the 49ers will win the game outright. I don't know. And I understand, look, the boys in Vegas are trying to get money on football games. I totally get that. I don't know how you bet the Eagles in this game in good consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can. And I think that's kind of the brilliance of what Shanahan has going on there in San Francisco. You look at this offense, and it's no secret that, Brock Purdy doesn't have to do rocket science to figure out where to throw the football. And I think, when you have a young guy like that, it's a really smart thing to do to make it a little bit easier for him. I'm not saying make it so basic that it's easy to play defense against, but clearly they've found a system where he can rely on that and get into it early and often. And I think when I look at guys going on the road and trying to win a playoff game, especially for a young guy, all I want to do is get him in rhythm early. I want to get high percentage looks early. I want to get those first couple of throws completed early.
Yeah.
So to me, I think, doing that and having that kind of system really helps. And I think when Christian McCaffrey is doing what Christian McCaffrey does, you're put in a great place from an offensive perspective. I felt like, Ayuk, obviously is your big play guy and has that type of ability, but I really feel like when you get McCaffrey going early and you force the opposition's linebackers to have to respect what CMC can do out of the backfield or obviously out in the flat. When you create that dynamic, those linebackers are going to inch forward a little bit more. They're going to instinctually play a little bit closer to the line. They're going to be like, okay, we got to watch out for him in the flat, and that's going to open up Ayuk deep. So to me, and by the way, we haven't even gotten Debo yet after that, which is, I know what we always say, but that's why they're so lethal offensively, because they have options. Brock is clearly good enough to facilitate this offense, and I really feel like against the Eagles, he's going to have to make plays on the run. Like, I know he runs around a lot, and that's one of the best parts of his games, but he's going to have to make those plays. The Patrick Mahomes-esque play where you're running around, you should be sacked, but then you find your guy 7 yards down the field heading to the sideline. You're going to have those plays against the Eagles to have success. And I really feel like this -2.5 for the Eagles, that's a really interesting line, because you know that the home team usually gets 3 points right out of the gate. So yes, the Eagles are the home team, and yes, they are the favorite, but I kind of feel like Vegas is saying they expect the Niners to come out and do some damage here, because it's only 2.5. It's not even 3. So I'll be interested to see how that line shifts as the week goes on.
Well, and I also think one of the interesting stories that you have to look at this weekend in the NFL playoffs is Josh Allen, because this was a shockingly mediocre performance out of the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. And again, I find myself saying that Josh Allen just didn't have it when they needed it most. And it's that it factor that you can't define in words, that you can't get out of a dictionary. Josh Allen didn't have it, and Joe Burrow did in fact have it. And now I think there's a lot of merit in the discussion of, is Josh Allen the guy to carry the Buffalo Bills? Because all year long, all we heard about was Josh Allen's the guy. He's ready to break out. He's going to be the next star. And yet Joe Burrow beat him again and the Cincinnati Bengals look like the best team in the AFC. Oh, by the way, did you see how bad that ankle is for Patty Ice? Patrick Mahomes limping badly in the Chiefs' victory, even though it looked like Chad Henne came in and played Superman and did a great job filling in for him. But now I don't know how you look at the Cincinnati Bengals as anything other than a heavy favorite to go into Arrowhead and win that game, because when you have a high ankle sprain like that, I just don't see how Patrick Mahomes can even be any shadow of himself if he is limited in mobility.
Yeah, and I just don't like. I look at Patty and I say, okay, it's one thing if he can't run around. It's another thing if he can't even push off that back foot, because he's somebody that we know throws some awkward arm angles and does all this trickery, and that's in his game. But you, at a minimum, have to be able to plant that right foot and drive the football down the field. And when you can't even do that, I don't, like, with all due respect to Chad Henne, you know, he did do good work. He did come in and fill that gap really well. He did his job, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. There's obviously a big fall off there. And when I look at the Bengals, you know, this Bengal defense, another defense, much like the 49ers, where you're disguising where that pressure is coming from. You make it look like it's coming from the right and it's coming from the left. Like they played really well. So to me, I agree. Like, the Bengals should be a heavy favorite coming into this game, but we'll see how that pans out.
All right, let's get your thoughts on the NFL playoffs. First one in this morning, Boyd Lake says Warner running with a wide receiver was eye-opening. It actually wasn't. And this is one of those plays that I think is so overrated. The ball was woefully underthrown. He's not running with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb can't run at top speed because the ball is so terribly underthrown. So Fred Warner, hey, it's cool that Fred Warner's fast. He's one of the best linebackers in football. But can we stop saying that Fred Warner's as fast as CeeDee Lamb? Because he's not. And listen, that 49er defense is great. That play is a product of Dak Prescott underthrowing that ball down the middle. If you didn't see it, Fred Warner, they were in zone. Fred Warner dropped out of blitz and wound up running down the seam with CeeDee Lamb. But you can see that CeeDee Lamb is trotting almost because the ball is so short. And he's trying to get underneath of Fred Warner, so he's not running fast. He's trying to get kind of, it was weird. He was trying to get behind him to dive for a football. I understand why BYU Nation wants to like gush all over Fred Warner and he's amazing, and I get it. He's the guy that you're hanging on to now. And I saw the graphics that had said he's the best NFL player to ever come out of BYU. That might be true. He's not running with CeeDee Lamb. Let's stop overstating the obvious on that play.
Yeah.
That Dak Prescott massively underthrew that football. Massively underthrew that ball. Kurt Myers, what's up? How are you? Carson Child. Nice to meet you, Carson. He says, love listening to the content every morning. Appreciate you. Wahalo said, I don't believe that anyone in the Jazz is truly untouchable. We'll talk Jazz basketball coming up here in 10 minutes. And they absolutely should have guys that are untouchable, and they do. Matt Ritson says, not good news on the Pac-12, firing 2 high-ranked officials while they didn't report overpayment from TV partners, which is never good. What's up, Ken Williams, who's a member of the program? Good to see you. Talking with Raphael, also a member of the show. By the way, if you want to join the show, you can do that for $9.99. You get exclusive access to videos every day. You also get into our Instagram chat for members only. Oh, by the way, you would already know why the Jazz are having trouble trading Jordan Clarkson. We put an exclusive members only news bite in the Instagram chat last night that we'll tell you about coming up here in 10 minutes. But if you remember, you'd already know. Just click that join link. It's $9.99 a month for the best sports content in Utah. Justin Salas, also a member. What's up? Troy Cushing, you too. Appreciate you being here. Joshua the Balla. What's up, Joshua? Good to see you.
What up?
G Off says, morning, guys. Go Niners. Yeah, you're a big Niner fan. Jeff is also in the chat. During the games yesterday, we had a great chat on Instagram with all of our members. Kenai Johnson, hello. Esoteric Ivy. Aloha from Honolulu, Monty and Jake.
Aloha.
Aloha. Good to see you. San Diego State, Glenn, what's up? Tim Bruckmiller, how are you? Mr. Preston says, good morning. Happy Monday. Jeff Johnson says, dude, Dak threw some really bad passes in this game. He certainly did.
Yeah.
He certainly did. And that one to Fred Warner is the perfect example. This is why I feel like he needs development. Bad foot mechanics, your feet and your arm are doing two different things. Like, he's got a cannon for an arm, and yet he throws a mediocre deep ball because he's not getting development. He's not getting positional coaching. He needs a guy like Sean Payton, who is a quarterback guru that I think could really make a difference. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're certainly going to cut Ezekiel Elliott, but you are not cutting Dak Prescott.
No.
Because he should be far better than he is. It is a decision-making, read, execute issue. And to me, that's coaching. That every good top performer, hey, including myself, needs a coach to say, hey, you're doing this, but you need to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's very clear to me that Dak Prescott is not getting that. And again, I'll die on this hill. Dak is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He needs tutelage. He needs coaching. The numbers, you don't put up the numbers that he's put up and be a crappy quarterback.
Yeah.
You don't put up the numbers that he's put up and throw the interceptions that he has thrown. And I think a lot of it is the offense. The offense is just so inconsistent. And I'm telling you, this Tony Pollard thing comes at a terrible time. Because I just don't know what you do with that if you're the Cowboys. How do you re-sign a guy? But then again, don't you get a discount if you're the Dallas Cowboys because now he's got a broken leg?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at Pollard, that's obviously someone you want back. I mean, the guy has shown his value, but I agree. I mean, now he's got a broken leg. Now he's going to have to rehab. And I don't like. I feel like with ACLs or ligaments and that whole sect of injury, we just take it for granted that guys are going to come back and be good because modern medicine, great. Broken legs are different, man. When you look at, and again, broken isn't the proper term. He has a fractured leg. So that could mean, myriad of things depending on severity. And it's said that he's going to be out three months. Okay, great. You're out 3 months. But then what does that recovery look like? Where's your explosiveness when you do come back? So they're just going to have to see like what this guy's like. But I tend to agree. I do think that comes with a bit of a discount. And I do think the opportunity to pay a guy on a discount and get really good performance, that's the kind of guy Tony Pollard is. He could give you something great if he comes back and has good rehab and trusts that leg again.
And by the way, I'd also be really careful about Brock Purdy because it's not like Brock's putting up huge numbers. I would agree that he just didn't make the mistakes that Dak made. That to me, that's what makes the difference. There you go. Exactly, Mike Maples. Dallas D was great, but Brock didn't make the killer mistakes. Micah Parsons is a stud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even a Dallas Cowboy fan, but I just feel like I'm the only one defending them today. Not that I'm Well, see, what I meant to say was, I love Micah Parsons. The guy's an absolute stud. I just think, he is. I think he could be. I mean, Bosa's probably the defensive player of the year, but Micah Parsons has to be in the conversation.
100%.
Jeff says, I'm not sure Purdy can handle Philly on the road, but I think I'm all in on developing him going forward. Yeah, how could you not be? Right? I think Trey Lance is one of the great draft mistakes in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
When he was healthy, he didn't look good. And you tripped and fell into Brock Purdy, and it's very Tom Brady-esque if we're being honest. You had no intention of playing Brock Purdy, just like you had no intention of playing TB12.
Yeah.
But then Tommy got in there and immediately took the reins, and hasn't Brock Purdy done the same thing? And there is no better place to define a guy's toughness than the NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is...
Well, and that experience so early on in his career is invaluable. I mean, you just can't replace it.
Totally true. Totally true. Jeff also says Josh Allen threw almost as many picks as Dak this season. It's crazy. Listen, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I'm really worried about Josh Allen because he's got Diggs and Davis, and he's got a really solid tight end. They have a decent offensive line. They have a defense that I think is probably a little overrated, obviously injury-riddled. But you have one of the best linebackers in football in Milano. Like, you have everything in place, and you're just not good enough. Now, there's a couple of things in play here. I think that when you look at T. Higgins and that receiving core in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, is there any doubt they're underrated? Is there any doubt that because it's Cincinnati and because you don't know the name T. Higgins, they're vastly underrated? There's no doubt about that. But it's also no doubt anymore that Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Josh Allen.
Better send those refunds.
You know, like seriously. And we should stop assuming that Josh Allen is fantastic because he jumps over dudes. Because again, how many times are we going to have this conversation? Can you stand in the pocket and deliver the football? Well, Josh Allen had trouble doing that yesterday. Can you win the game when the season's on the line? Josh Allen didn't do that yesterday. Joe Burrow stood in the pocket and delivered the football. Joe Burrow won the game when the season was on the line. I mean, there's just not a lot to talk about here. And I think it's high time we start talking about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as the best receiving duo in the NFL. And if they're not the best, they're close. They're close.
Yeah.
Because those two are both equally unguardable, in my opinion. And Chase is on some other level. I think the catch we saw over the weekend, absolutely. T. Higgins deserves respect. And I don't know that he'll get it, but I'm telling you, it's time to stop making excuses for Josh Allen. The Bills Mafia and jumping off RVs through tables. Hey, all that's cool.
Yeah.
But you're not winning football games with that guy carrying the entire football team.
Yeah, and it's cool that you can light it up in the regular season. And again, I'm a Josh Allen guy, right? I've said most of the season that I think he's the best quarterback in the league. But when it comes time to perform, you didn't do it. And I think we need to also stop, kind of buying into this story about how the Bengals are underdogs anymore. They shouldn't be underdogs anymore. They deserve more respect than that. And I think Joe Burrow is right there in the conversation. And I don't think, and again, we're assuming that Patty Mahomes is going to play, which I don't think is guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination.
He'll play. He may not play the entire game, and he may not play well, but if Patrick Mahomes tells Andy Reid he's good to go, he's good to go. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Chad Henne, like the Undertaker up from the coffin, and everybody putting those memes out of Kevin Nash getting out of the wheelchair with the blanket and a fake cast on his leg. Like, Chad Henne is unbelievable. The performance that he gave the Kansas City Chiefs on that one drive alone off the goal line, that performance is why you pay quarterbacks in this league. That's why you have to have two quarterbacks in this league. Yeah. And again, I'm just telling you that this is the Brock Purdy story. This is, you look at Tyler Huntley in Baltimore. Was he good enough as a backup? Probably not. Probably not. And I look at everything that San Francisco's gone through and everything that now Kansas City's going to go through. If Kansas City goes to the Super Bowl, I think I can make a pretty strong case that Chad Henne should be a hero in Kansas City. Because if he doesn't get that ass off that goal line, they're in trouble.
Yep.
They are because that game, dude, I get it. They were the better team. There's no doubt about that. But if you go back and you look at that game and you understand that Jacksonville was wanting and Jacksonville was dangerous. And look, man, I was shocked that they didn't give the ball to ATN more in Jacksonville.
Seriously.
I was really surprised. And again, Trevor Lawrence is an interesting guy. Not ready, right? Chad Henne, 5 of 7, 23 yards and a touchdown. That's all you ever wanted out of a quarterback, especially a backup quarterback. And I don't know what Patrick Mahomes will be or can become, but the other guy that we haven't talked enough about is Isaiah Pacheco. Because the performance he gave Kansas City, good Lord, man.
Yeah, dude.
Just unbelievable. And again, they've got studs everywhere. Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney, I thought played really well. And you start looking at some of the names on that defense, and I don't know that we pay enough attention. Like Chris Jones trying to get his first career postseason sack. That guy was absolutely disruptive. Didn't get the sack, came close. That guy was absolutely disruptive. The reason you favor Kansas City, and I think you probably should, is because they're good top to bottom. But so is Cincinnati. And again, just to finish my point on quarterbacks, we talked about this very thing on Friday. Why is it that teams can't get the quarterback right in the NFL? I don't understand it. Why is it that Dak Prescott's not developing? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kellen Moore is your offensive coordinator and quarterback coach there. And by all accounts, he's a pretty good guy. But there's something off with Dak Prescott's development. He's not getting enough of it. And my guess is if he ends up playing for a Kyle Shanahan type offensive coordinator, Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than he is in Dallas under Kellen Moore.
Well, if he kind of just feels like, Kellen Moore is just saying, yeah, Dak is one of the best in the league, and we're going to develop a scheme that plays to what he can do. Instead of saying, hey, like, yeah, you are one of the best, and we do have this scheme, but we need to work on this stuff. Like, we need to work on you identifying situations and schemes. And I get it. Like, again, raving about the 49ers defense, hiding blitzes, totally get it. Like, that's going to challenge anybody. But I think Dak has to get rid of the bad interception. It just like, I know some of the, I think it was like half or so of those interceptions he threw this year were, hey, I hit my guy in the hands and it went to the defense. I understand that. But you can't have these just awful.
The two he threw yesterday were Dak Prescott bad decisions. I agree with you that whether it was CeeDee Lamb had two of those, I mean, they had a lot. Like Zeke had several that hit him in the hands and wound up as interceptions.
Yeah.
But that's on Mike McCarthy. The failure to execute that punt is on Mike McCarthy. And they're a good team. Good teams don't win Super Bowls. Great teams win Super Bowls. And if I look at, like, what do you say to Sean McDermott this morning in Buffalo? Is Sean McDermott an elite NFL head coach?
Yeah.
I don't know if he is or not because they don't win. They don't win. It's great that you're good in the regular season. I know this pisses everybody off. It's great that you're good in the regular season. But are you a championship caliber coach?
With all due respect.
Because Buffalo's going to tell you they are, and I'm going to tell you they're not. And I'm happy to fight for it. I'm telling you now, Josh Allen is not a guy that I believe is ready to carry a football team on his own. Sean McDermott is not a head coach that has proven to you he can take a team to a Super Bowl. You look at Mike McCarthy, he is not a head coach that has proven to you that he can take your team today to a Super Bowl. And again, he's much like Aaron Rodgers living on that crap 15 years ago or whenever it was.
Right.
Congratulations, but that's ages ago. Right? I look at quarterbacks and you can instantly see it. And you can say it about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts playing the way that he played. That's a guy I want on my football team.
Well, and that's why they are where they are, right?
But is he better than Josh Allen? I don't know. Ask me next week at this time. Because if he wins, if he beats the 49ers on one arm, and his bad arm's his throwing arm, if he beats the 49ers, if he plays well enough to beat them, now I think you're talking about a different caliber of quarterback.
Facts.